All right, everybody. It is Sunday, June the 4th, 2023. And yes, there is still going to be some coughing, but I feel much better. I have one more day of all this crazy medication, and then I should be, on the road. So thank y'all for understanding. I appreciate it. And I will have to take some breaks and hit the mute button, but we'll absolutely get through this, okay? All right, now then, so this was a crazy crazy attempt. If y'all could see my notes, you'd be shocked, because the rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper. And these are not like a whole bunch of rabbit holes. These are like a few enormous rabbit holes, because the rabbits are gigantic, and it's strange. It's a strange, crazy story that the disappearance of Dr. John Forsyth has opened up the door to some amazing information, actually. So we do know the story at this point. I did direct everybody to go to the Pascal show, to go watch the full interview of his brother Richard Forsyth, so that you could kind of see. I noticed that one of the crypto channels on YouTube might have been listening, because last night, they did a video doing exactly what I'm going to do today. But that's okay, because this is all we're all in it for the same reason. So this is going to be a story in terms of my channel. This is going to be it's going to take the form of a podcast, because there are so many stories. There are so many stories within this story. There are so many potential outcomes. Maybe, Big Ups. Let me ask you this question, Big Ups. Have you ever heard the name Betty Broderick? Does it make your blood run cold? Yeah. So there are a lot of potential stories here. There are some crazy coincidences. For example, I'm not going to I don't want to invade the privacy of this very large family, okay? But let me tell you this, and what I am telling you is absolutely 100% factual, accurate, true, okay? There is someone very, very close to Dr. Forsyth who lives in Rexburg, Idaho. So there are some very curious coincidences with our, the big stories that we've had with Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell is the one that lived in Rexburg. Lori moved to Rexburg before killing her two children and running away with the prophet of the Lamb of God, I think. But I was being facetious. I didn't mean that. Rexburg is an area that is like 95% Mormon, which I have yet to find another town like that. Even Salt Lake City is not that big. So there are some curious connections to Rexburg. I don't think in any way it has anything to do with this particular story, but when you're looking at 7 potential theories of what or avenues of investigation is probably a more appropriate way to describe it. When you're looking at 7 avenues of investigation for the kidnapping and murder of John Forsyth, you really can't overlook any of them, no matter how peculiar they may appear to be. And there's some peculiarities. So number 1, I thought the Rexburg connection was shocking. That's number 1. Number 2, I can't find hide nor hair of his ex-wife. I don't know who she is. I know what her face looks like, but they're one of those families where they all look exactly alike. All the girls look alike, all the guys look alike. It's very difficult to kind of historically go through and try to identify pictures. So I don't know. I have an idea what I think her name is. That's not my goal here. But the name, Betty Broderick did come to mind as a potential avenue of investigation and inquiry. I know nothing. Listen to me. Hear me loud and clear. I do not know who she is. I'm talking about the ex-wife. I don't know who she is. I don't have any stories about her. I know nothing. Okay, nothing. I'm only going on the fact that there are some very curious dates involved, that you get your divorce from your husband on the 11th. He is, I had worked all this out. On the 11th, he is engaged possibly on the 16th, although no one knew that they were engaged. So you get your divorce, your husband gets engaged 5 days after your divorce, and then he's literally 1 day after that, he's having dinner with his brother. They're talking about continuity of the company and projects. On the 19th, he goes to an accountant to say, hey, if anything should happen to me, I want my brother to take over the job, the work. And then literally 10 days, you find out you're divorced and what your settlement is on the 11th. 10 days later, your husband walks out of the hospital at 7 a.m. He drives down the road just miles, where the last time he's literally seen, he pulls into the parking lot at 7:12 a.m. 7:15, the white SUV arrives. However, he's parked in a way where the camera can see he's parked there, but you can do a lot of things behind the fence that the camera can't see. And then he's gone. He just poofs into thin air. I'm sorry to say this, but you can't ignore hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. There is also the additional complication, that this is all rumor, but it does seem, if you were to believe people on the internet, which I know you can't, but there are people claiming to be from one of these towns close to Cassville who know about the girlfriend that has the baby, the 8th child. He has 7 children with his wife, and then there was this other child from a year or 2 ago. If these people are telling the truth, I have no way of knowing. I haven't called anybody on the phone. I would never invade somebody's privacy like that. No. But this is the discussion boards. This is kind of where they're going. So I think we can't ignore the problems related to the wife's point of view. If you've seen the Betty Broderick story, I mean, it's been done a couple of times throughout the decades. If you've seen the Betty Broderick story, put a 1. I'm just curious if there's anybody else. Big ups. Big ups definitely knows the Betty Broderick story. Yes, Kathy. They're actually from Idaho, right? Yeah. He is from but they have connections in Canada as well. Okay, so there's a lot of you guys. Hey, you are Tameen. So there are a lot of you guys that know the Betty Broderick story, and I do think that kind of came to mind for me before I heard the interview with Richard, and I thought, good gracious, you've got 7 babies by a man, and within days he is engaged to someone else. Apparently, too, there is a huge split in the family. Some family, I'm talking about parents and children, some are talking to each other, some are not. But I would expect that to be based on something like this. It's very difficult. Let me just say this, okay? It is difficult. It is a soul-crushing act of survival every day to be left by your husband. You've got kids, and you're trying to reorient your identity. You're trying to deal with the shock and awe of the ultimate betrayal. You're trying to figure out what happens now. All of my dreams and visions for my future included my husband. What happens to me now? Where do I go from here? Who am I? How do I make anything of myself at this point? I give you my youth. I give you all these years raising these children, and now when we're getting close to being back, the two of us, now I'm left alone, and I'm essentially, an older woman alone. So this is an incredibly difficult path to navigate, as Betty Broderick taught us. And I'm going to tell you, it's true. This newest Betty Broderick that they have playing right now, on more than one occasion, I was like, you go, sister. Right? Now, not that I would ever want harm to come to another person, or anything like that. But Dan was an asshole. Who thinks Dan was an asshole? If Dan was not nice, put a 1. If you think Dan was probably just a good old guy, put a 2. She got big mad, Cinnamon. She was big mad. Absolutely. Thank you, Yartamine. Oh, yeah, she is mad. And she had a right to be mad, yeah? Because he was this self-obsessed, childish, narcissistic little, poot head. And she worked her behind off, not only working to make money, but raising just children, one child after another. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about, Dr. Forsyth, 7 children. You had a wife. For 7 children, your wife was pregnant for 10 years, man. 10 years. If she took some time between the kids for her body to get healthy again, then it was like raising kids for 12, 13, 14 years. Unbelievable. Almost abusive. Who thinks it's almost abusive? The idea that you keep someone pregnant and they have 7 children. She gives up more than a decade of her life replenishing the earth with your seed, and you repay her by, number 1, having an affair with a young woman and getting her pregnant, and then number 2, divorcing her so you can marry, Miss Idaho, the young beauty queen, right? Who looks suspiciously like his mother, by the way. No, I can't imagine either. Wait, what? So I think that we are being disingenuous if we don't at least include the possibility that Mrs. Forsyth was also big mad, hurt, lacking identity, having been abandoned in the ultimate way. Okay? So, I'm here. I'm available. Tell me if you think I'm being too harsh on Mr. John Forsyth. Who thinks I'm being too harsh? Oh my God, Kathy R. Oh my goodness, that is so sad. Oh my Lord. My goodness. Okay, so nobody thinks I'm being harsh. Okay, all right. I know we have it in our culture. We don't typically speak ill of the dead. That's not my point here. My point is we have 7 avenues of inquiry for this very prominent guy just experiencing something out of a 007 novel. Okay, so I live 30 miles from this. It said that he was murdered because of nefarious reasons with cryptocurrency. I'm going to get into that, Aquarian baby. Yes, Kathy. She was breeding stock, and then it was time for him to go find a lovely young lady. Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible. All right. Tootie. High five. Okay. All right. So that is one of my first reactions. I said, oh my, we have another Betty Broderick problem. Not that, Betty Broderick was driven to the ends of her sanity. Okay. And Dan did it. He was a jerk, and he did it with his jerk lawyer friends, right? But and that was the extreme case for sure. I've actually written back and forth with Betty Broderick a couple of times, but anyway, so if the mother, the wife, I guess she's the only wife he's ever had. It's not that she could have been being vindictive. It could have just been an act of passion, that she was just overwhelmed, right? So that's one area. One. The least interesting avenue of inquiry, if you can believe that. Let me say that again. The very least interesting of the paths of inquiry. This is a hell of a story. I am not kidding you. So, it does turn out that his mother and his father, I'm talking about John Forsyth's mother and father, they all by themselves are very interesting people, have interesting lives. The whole family they're different. They're unique. It's definitely not a Chad Daybell kind of thing. The Daybell stuff, that was really lower levels of education, no money, a lot of poverty. There was a lot. Not in this situation. This is a family where people were very, very, very well educated, affluent. They could pretty well do whatever they wanted to do. So definitely a dramatically different situation, but still some parallel, curious, unusual behaviors. All right. And there will be videos talking about those unusual things. All right. Now then, but I'm also, let me say this. I've got to be very factual and very respectful as I try to do some of this. And some of these stories are not, it's going to be very difficult to stay, what word do I want to use? Some of this is crazy. I'm just going to lay Krayzee. Some of this, my jaw, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really couldn't. So, and that does relate to the crypto. There's some big stuff related to their crypto game. I kind of expect Richard Forsyth is going to not like what I have to say. I'm sort of expecting that. I don't hope to make him mad. That's not my goal. But you know, I can see where they're not going to look at this as very flattering. Specifically, I'm talking about to the crypto game that they have going on. Now, the beautiful lady that you see with the cranberry lipstick, you are looking at a woman named Ruja Ignatova, okay? And she is actually on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. I told y'all, this is big crazy, okay? She is on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. She is the crypto queen. Now, I'm going to say that with quotation marks because she had a partner. Their offering it was not technically cryptocurrency. It was a scam. It was a multi-level marketing scheme. It was not Dogecoin. You know what I mean? It wasn't Bitcoin. So, the curious thing is that when you look at John Forsyth, and when he first got into the crypto game, he was in college. He was a kid. Oh, well, I mean, he's getting educated, you know, but he was a young man, a young adult. And he was actually mining Litecoin. Okay, which I don't know how many of you guys know much about the crypto, but I see that was something I like. Me and my son kind of mess around with the crypto stuff, but you know, it's fun, but it's very confusing to just kind of talk about, you know, commonly off the hook. So I made the decision, I'm not going to get bogged down into the operations of what Bitcoin is, or what decentralization versus centralization. In fact, one of the earliest coins that John Forsyth worked on, his problem was that he wasn't decentralized. It was all being stored in one discrete location, and so that just kind of blew it all. It took away from the whole point of what he was doing. But anyway, so without getting into it, he was coming in on the ground floor, 2010. He's mining Litecoin, and he made out like a bandit. He was holding some Bitcoin. He made out like a bandit. It was just a fluke. He was there at the early offerings. He was smart enough to take it. And it took off like crazy. Now, it's at this point that things get very uncomfortable, because there are some parallels between the activities of Ruja Ignatova. That's not how to say it. Ignatova. Ruja Ignatova in Bulgaria, and then she later goes to other countries. She goes to Greece and other places. But her early life and times, and she's a lawyer, she's a financial person, and so she's the cyber queen. The crypto queen, not cyber queen, the crypto queen. But I sort of thought, as I was going through this, I thought to myself, gosh, was he was he kind of watching what was happening with OneCoin? Now OneCoin was much further after that, but Ruja, the way it was all developing, and there are so many parallels between OneCoin and, well, John Forsyth's crypto. It's very, very curious. You almost get the idea that John is watching and learning from the OneCoin group. And OneCoin got into a lot of trouble. That's the whole problem with this beautiful woman here on the screen, is all of her lovers and her husbands and her business partners, they're all in jail. The U.S. has grabbed them and gotten them, and she basically ran away. She disappeared with what would have been $400 billion in crypto. She actually went to a United Arab Emirates sheikh, and she made a business transaction with the sheikh. She made a business transaction with him that amounted to her getting something like 63,000 bitcoins. Yes, you heard me. If you know crypto, your jaw just hit the ground. She made this arrangement with him for the 63,000 bitcoins. And if she kept them, and I don't see any reason why she would not have kept them, right? I mean, this is her field, it's what she does. If she kept them, they would be worth $9 billion right now. $9 billion today. So of course she kept them, right? I mean, I can't even imagine she would not have kept them. So she moved around, she hid, she ultimately ends up on this amazing super yacht, out in the ocean where nobody, can get her. And of course, the feds have been watching her. The intelligence agencies all around the world have been trying to find her. They've rounded up, like I said, boyfriends, husband, business partners, and they have all kind of rolled over on each other, testified against each other, blah, blah, blah. So it's been this big, mess. And it's very interesting because there is one actor, I thought that I had done hold on, let me see what I did with it. Well, maybe I didn't upload it. Let's see if I need to upload it. Yeah, here it is right here. Okay. So here is this woman here. Well, Irina, is friends with Ruja. Okay? Irina she was the head of OneCoin's legal and compliance. Well, if you say that they had a legal department, she was supposed to be it, okay? Well, so she basically first there's Ruja and then there's God. Well, Irina and then Ruja and then God. So it is very interesting because Irina where's my notes? I'm looking for my notes. I have so many of these silly things. This is the craziest story. This is the big one. I haven't done one like this before. They found her March of this year. They had been looking for Irina. One of their partners basically gave them all the dirt on Irina so that they could get her. And so they found her in March. This is being prosecuted through the Manhattan, New York district attorney, and they brought her back to the United States for, I can't find my dates. Damn it. Why can't I find it? So I know it was March. I don't remember the exact date. But I think they found, they got her on March the 16th of 2022. And then she was actually brought to the United States this year, March the 21st, I believe. March the 21st. She has been extradited. She is here in the United States, and she is preparing to stand trial. And this is the right-hand man for Ruja. Okay? Okay. So when you look at the similarities between the strange things happening in John Forsyth's life, there is this intersect with what's going on with the damn queen of crypto. It's the craziest thing ever. So what I mean is, I'm talking about that on the Pascal show, Richard says that he has found out that his brother is kidnapped in February of 2022, and that there was a deal that was made. Something, you get the feeling that there was a payoff, or there was some kind of transaction that went from, okay, we're going to kill you, to, oh, well, just kidding, we can let you live for another year, right? And it's so strange because you've got Ruja's coin, which was called OneCoin. It's not a crypto coin. It was a multi-level marketing scheme. It's still in operation today, and I am going to talk about that and how it intersects with what we're going to hear Richard describe in his interview with Pascal. Okay, so I'm not a crazy woman. I felt like I was crazy as I was getting into this, and I thought, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But anyway, so you got February, this well-respected, highly respected doctor he's not the only respected doctor in his family. This is a well-known pillar of society family, you guys. This is crazy. And you've got somebody picking this guy up in February 2022, zip tying his wrists together and threatening to throw him off a bridge. And then there's some sort of magical agreement that takes place, and suddenly he's out walking around free of the home and in the United States, and doing fine and having affairs and getting divorced and all of those fun things. And at the very same time, they magically find, you know who. Interesting, isn't it? Now, one of the I want to show you, you see this, this is one of the marketing posters that was used for John and Richard Forsyth's company. And hold on, I think I still got it pulled up. And then I've got to share this with you. Whoops. Where'd you go? There you are. All right, let me share some. Remember what that looks like. Share the screen. And then look at this. This is Bulgarian art. And I've got pictures of Ruja standing in her house where she has Andy Warhol paintings that look exactly like the marketing posters that were put out by the Forsyth Bitcoin crypto. So all of the marketing posters have this very, socialist, communism type of, art that is stereotypical to Bulgaria. And you think to yourself, but wait a minute. I didn't even notice the art. I noticed how the description of the company was exactly like what you expect to see with OneCoin, which OneCoin is Ruja's company. Okay? And then you go back to John Forsyth's company, and all of their marketing is this Bulgarian communist type of propaganda type of art. This is so fascinating. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how to be any more descriptive about it. Let's see. I can do, let me present another. You'll see what I'm talking about. I've got to go to my Canva. Uh-oh, come up. Why isn't it opening up? Let's try it anyway. Okay. Let me do it this way. Okay, I need to present full screen, present. All right. So these are the marketing posters. I promise y'all. I promise. These are the marketing posters for John Forsyth's crypto business. Okay? These are the marketing posters. So this one says, for liberty's sake, sign up with onfocoin.com. The voice of consensus. And look at, this is the revolutionary fist, right? Down with the wall of illusions. And I don't know if you can see what the different blocks are, but it is centralization, global banking. What's this one? Dirigism. I don't know. I can't read what it says. And he's using this big, like scalpel. And on the scalpel, it says cryptocurrency. And then at the bottom, it says earn cryptocurrency by creating an account with onfocoin.com. All right. Let's go to the next one. Here's onfocoin.com. Global finance, public debt, the fiscal cliff. Say no to the insane financial train. That's a good one. Create a free account and earn cryptocurrency with Onfo. But the problem is it wasn't free. It wasn't free. For the defense of our liberties, and the arrows, this one says dictatorship. This one says statism. This one says corruption. And then this is OnfoCoin's, image. Look at this one. I'm going to show you some Bulgarian art that is the same guy. It's kind of crazy. And it's got, you see all this legitimate industry here and everything looks great on the surface, but little do you know that asset seizure and confiscation and taxation is eating away at your legitimate business. That global banking and corrupt governments is corrupt government is destroying all of this legitimate industry up top. And it says decentralized cryptocurrency to the answer. Be part of the solution by helping us build the largest consensus network ever. Earn real cryptocurrencies by signing up with Onfo. Again, this is another one of those communism, socialist, stand together for the good of the state. The consequence of tyrannical and corrupt governance is the chains that bind you. To break the chains, sign up with Onfo. Here's the earn cryptocurrency through social mining with Onfo. And up top it says, join us in forging a consensus network to eclipse all others. Guess who else was going to eclipse all others? Gonna destroy Bitcoin. Ruja said that one coin was going to destroy Bitcoin and you would not ever need anything else. Look at these. It's amazing. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Grow your own crypto with Onfo through network mining. She's, tending the wheat. Very, very Russian federationist, right? Freedom, certainty, and true ownership with Onfo. Crash the banksters. Opt out with Onfo. And this one is, it's kind of like, to the moon. Hold on for dear life. This generation was born to escape gravity. We've taken 10 years of Bitcoin and added rocket fuel to it. Get on board with Onfo. I mean, it's a great marketing campaign. All right, I'm not going to go into all that. Okay. Is that everything? Yeah, okay. All right, so there's some real curiosities. There's some real connections. I called it wild speculation, but it is very curious. If you find these parallels interesting, put a 1. If you think this is, much ado about nothing, put a 2. Wasn't free, but didn't Richard say they wanted to break into the global market to give poorer people a means to break into the crypto world? Absolutely, DB. And I'm going to talk to you. We're going to talk about that. This is a ton of information. There is so much to discuss related to this. One thing is to talk about OneCoin and how it is possible that it stands as a fraud, people going to jail, but, thank you, Sandra, but it is currently in operation today, but in a very unusual and unique manner. Okay? All right. So Sandra disagrees. That's perfectly, I asked. That's okay. Oh, wait, she changed her mind. Okay, Sandra. All right. So it's very curious parallels. There are many, many, many avenues of inquiry in this story. And I intend, before this is over, we're looking at a month worth of content here. Okay. Thank you, Sandra. We're looking at a month's worth of content here, but I don't know exactly how. First of all, let me say this. I don't think John knew Ruja. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm wondering if he somehow was watching OneCoin, he was seeing it develop through the years, and that he was trying to do kind of like a parallel type of idea. For one thing, he actually did some earlier work where it looked like he had a stable coin. okay, so I don't want to. I said I'm not going to get bogged down in that, but okay. So for the channel here, so I'm thinking because you remember them talking. You remember Richard talking about how philanthropic John Forsyth is or was, how philanthropic he was, and that he wanted to use the crypto network that he was developing, that he wanted to use it to help people in third world countries, right? Well, let me give you a little bit of background here. So with OneCoin, Ruja's Bitcoin, not Bitcoin token, the problem when it began to get called a fraud and people began to get arrested, it was because people were trying to cash out their accumulated coins, and they weren't able to do that. They would try to go through, I don't remember now. I don't remember which exchange it was. It's in my notes, but I don't want to take time to look. But they had to go through an exchange to try to take their coins, which were really not coins. They were technically tokens. But to take the token and cash out into a different crypto. Jerry Cotton did exactly the same thing with his. That's a whole different story. But this was the same kind of scam, this MLM-ish kind of market, Ponzi scheme kind of thing. So as people were accumulating the OneCoin, they started trying to cash out and actually use the money, the value, and they weren't able to do that. And to be fair, OneCoin made a lot of excuses, and they said they were having this problem or they're having that problem. We see the exact thing happening with Onfo. They exactly parallel type of period of time. And then ultimately, this OneCoin then gets followed up. What did they call that? They set up a market in China, and it was called something Shield. What was it? Something Shield. And you could go onto this something Shield. My brain's, I don't remember. It was like a merchant website set up in China, and you could go there instead of actually taking your tokens and getting them turned into Bitcoin or Ethereum and then taking the cash from that or whatever. Instead of doing that, you would just take your OneCoins with you. You'd go over to the Chinese website, something Shield, and you would purchase things through this. But here's the gist. The website was owned by Ruja. It was her. She was the so not only was she paying them the tokens, she was getting them to spend those tokens that she paid them at her store. You know what that means? She's turned herself into her own central bank. She's the banker. Crazy, right? So the other thing that means is that she can tell you, okay, well, OneCoin is worth, $50,000, or OneCoin is worth 1 penny, because she's doing it. It's the coins are useless without this website where they can go on and buy things like makeup and electronics and such. Okay, y'all following me? I know this is crazy. Now then, that brings me to a page I want to share with y'all. Hold on. Remember what I said about parallels between these companies. Here we go. This too is owned by OneCoin. This is the One ecosystem. Real power of one. There are 25 doctors in South America that are accepting OneCoin as payment for medical services. It's in Ecuador. Here are, let's see, if you are Ecuadorian, or if you are visiting their country and you have OneCoin, you can see their doctors and pay with your money. Now, here's the gist. These doctors probably bought into this whole thing to start it. They're probably the foundation of the market, right? This is their money that started this up, is my guess. So here are the 25 doctors. And I have not looked into these people yet. I'm going to, but I haven't yet. Mario Vargas, Antonio Rojas, Ernesto Mantilla, Alexander Sanchez, Wilson Bridge, Paulina Avalos, Lupe Nicolade, Dr. William Bridge, Dr. Lucia Medical Bridge, Israel Constales, Fernando Rosero, Lizbeth Tatiana Almeida, Darwin Cortez, Rommel Ojeda, Cristina Carrillo, Carla Padilla, Farah Ulloa, Paola Perez, Carla Navarro, Carolina St. Mary. Guido Campo Verde Optometers, John the 23rd Opticians, and Doctora Myra Paliz. So these are doctors that you can literally go see and pay with what are really just fraudulent coins. They're multi-level marketing. It's like the Shanann Watts, diet food. Here, this video, they're teaching you to transfer one in. They want you to learn how to transfer your one token into the Ethereum blockchain, and then you can send it over to the Polygon, but it doesn't work. Let's see. Here's another one. How they say it's free. You have to add 25 euros in order to get a profile to use the one ecosystem. So if you worked for OneCoin, if you mined value, they paid you in OneCoin tokens, you now have them, you can't use them except through the one ecosystem. You still have to pay 25 euros to get into their system. Well, if you've got, I don't know, 1 million people who have mined coin for you, that's 25 million euros that you get, and they didn't have to do anything. This woman, she was freaky. All right, so here's where I think the there's a lot in this. I don't want to go through all this. I thought that I could find. They have a here it is. That's what I'm looking for right there. They have this oh no, that's not it. I'll do that one on another video because I don't want to waste any time looking. Okay, so you get my point. So they become like the employer. OneCoin becomes like the employer. Exactly, Cinnamon. They become the employer. They're paying you to mine their it's basically. Okay, oh my gosh, I can't go into all this. It's so much. Ruja sold educational materials. It's going to blow your mind. So unethical. Okay, so Ruja is selling these educational packages, how to deal in cryptocurrencies, become the next millionaire, that kind of thing. People would buy in for, they had different levels of buy-in. People would buy in to get their product, and she would throw in a whole handful of OneCoin tokens. It was like monopoly money. It was like, oh look, you ordered the $1,000 package. This is your lucky day. You're going to get 500 one coins, and because you paid so quickly, we're going to give you another 100. Right? It's just, and it's nothing. It has no value. It's nothing. So the people receive their packets. They educate themselves, but they don't want to educate themselves. They really just wanted those tokens. They wanted the crypto, right? But then people started saying, well, how do I cash it out? Nothing was working. And so that's when they started making websites where you could use their tokens to buy stuff on their website. It's the ultimate in robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now you might ask, well, how did you earn more tokens? Well, the way you worked and earned more tokens was to go and find, you can't hear? Can y'all hear me? So they would go and get their friends to join up and buy the educational materials, and then they too would get tokens, and they would get new tokens. It is exactly what Shanann Ruchek was doing with diet food. Exactly, or not diet food, but supplements, right? Exactly the same. No different. If you're the guy that starts at the bottom, you're the one that makes the tokens. You're the one that has all the product. And then you start finding people that will get the product, go around by word of mouth and tell everybody how great the product is. Then they would get some product, but then they would send a percentage of that product to you. And that would be your profit. The difference was Shanann was doing supplements and diet food. These fools ended up, bringing in the FTC. These people were doing it with people's livelihood, with money, and got them in Amway got them in a whole heap of trouble. Okay, so that was the birth then. They did the commodity shopping where they could go on and buy makeup and things like that. But then they built into this much bigger foundation, and now they've got doctors that will take the coin. But you got to be in Ecuador. You got to be in Ecuador to get served. So you got to be in Ecuador to get the services, okay? So it's still running. It's still in operation today. I'm not sure how, but it is. But I couldn't look away from this thing with the doctors and how closely it matches what Richard Forsyth is describing about his brother. And their goal for their network, the device or the vehicle that John was building, that they wanted it in Africa, China, and Russia. And we're going to do that in another video. Okay? So here's where we're going now with this. Are y'all's heads spinning? Is this too much? It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, let me find the Pascal show. Here we go. All right, so let's go through now. And let's just take a listen and see where this interesting interview takes us. I have some misgivings in certain parts of this interview. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. How did y'all feel? Anybody feel uncomfortable? Was there anything that was in the interview that you felt, um, I don't know, a little, I don't know, that it that it seemed like there was an ulterior motive? I'm picking up what you putting down. I have been down the rabbit hole on this one. Thanks. It is. Listen, Char. This is the big one. This is a crazy story. Absolutely. So, Tootie, just a quick heads up. What bothered you? Do you remember? Was there anything specifically that stood out for you? Let's see if anybody says, hey, Shalimar, the brother pushed some topics. Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree completely. Yeah. Okay, so nobody really said the one thing that sort of bothered me, but when we get to it, I'll point it out and see what your opinion is. Okay. All right. Any comments? I'm fixing to click over and play the video. He made, especially at the end when he tried to cry, DB. That is actually the last note in my notebook. Yes. It didn't work, though. The kidnapping, no police, puts brother in charge. Much endeavors. I find it very difficult to believe that John Forsyth, an educated man whose father is a very well-educated man, I don't believe that he would go through that experience of kidnapping and not go to law enforcement. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Yes, Tootie. Yep, that was one of my, that bothered me as well. Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead and start listening. We're going to be here all night.
Richard Forsyth, John's brother, to the show. How you doing, Richard? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Pascal.
And look at the art behind him. Look at the art.
Honestly, I got to tell you, it really does mean the world to all of us right here. The fact that you were able to come.
I love Pascal.
Remains, of course, really found out first thing. It takes a lot. We all appreciate.
Word out. Yeah.
Of course. So before we get into the timeline and all the information, when he went missing, how he went missing, all the new information that's kind of been leaking in the media, can you give us a little bit of a breakdown of what kind of person John was in the first place?
Okay, he goes on and on about what a great person he is.
He's the kind of guy who went beyond what was required.
He's the most empathetic, loving, dedicated, conscientious, tender. I think I got them all. But yeah, it is the top.
I still need to pack.
No, never any better doctor. But this is his brother who he's just found out that he died. Okay. So you would really not expect him to say anything different. Of course, he's going to, elevate his brother in death. I mean, that's a natural thing. Here's something that I felt a little surprised by. Are y'all in awareness that this interview right here, this happened less than 24 hours after he found out his brother was dead? 24 hours. Like they found out that night, and I guess this was done the next morning or next, like noon or something. Because he says, we just found out last night, and everybody else found out this morning. So less than 24 hours since he learned that his brother is dead. His brother, his business partner. Thought that was interesting. His composure, it's notable. Perhaps it's not unusual for people to be a little medicated, maybe a little pinch of Xanax or something, but it's notable. Not making any kind of, not making any kind of suggestion about it, just he's very controlled. He is a very calm and controlled person, not much emotion.
His charm, his kindness, his patience, his good nature, his generosity, his humor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's JR the doctor. JR also the philanthropist. He and I started a cryptocurrency together. We observed some years ago that we've been involved in cryptocurrency since about 2010. We've had a number of different ventures in cryptocurrency. We've had some false starts, but we observed that cryptocurrency had a certain amount of potential that really wasn't reaching. And the idea with cryptocurrency was to become very widely.
Would somebody please set the timer on their phone, and let's see how long we get our cryptocurrency sales pitch, please? Are you ready? When somebody has their phone out and they've got their timer, let me know. Who's got it? Lisa, are you ready? Who's going to time it? Y'all ready? Oh, Jill's got it. Thank you, Jill. Here we go.
Distributed and very widely accepted, very widely accessible. This has really not happened. What cryptocurrency has become is a game for rich people and nerds, basically. And we see a huge future in it. We see a lot of benefit in cryptocurrency besides, this simple view that people have of it as an opportunity to flip digital assets for dollars. We think that it adds a lot of transparency to financial transactions. It's accessible to people who are in impoverished and oppressed parts of the world. It is anti-inflationary. It's deflationary. A lot of good qualities to cryptocurrency that standard currency doesn't have. And so, our vision was to bring the concept of cryptocurrency to the third world, to people who can afford to buy it. And instead of selling something to these people, we provide a way for them to earn it. The way for them to earn it is to contribute in the most direct way that adds value to a consensus network, and that is to help grow the network. We have users, clients all over.
Pascal is not picking up what he's throwing down.
Over the world. We've been especially successful in Indonesia, Bangladesh, Ukraine, Philippines, all around South America. We're actually in almost every country on the planet right now. I have a wide user base, and we have sold nothing. Over the years, JR and I have spent millions on this project. We haven't made a dime. This is a philanthropic idea to get people into cryptocurrency, to create sort of an on-ramp for people who are forgotten, disregarded. And so we've done a lot with that. And that was a big passion project for him. So my point in bringing this up is that he was a philanthropist, someone who had a lot of compassion for people who were in trouble and who didn't have anyone to help them. And so very passionate about that. And also besides that, he was a math guy. His undergrad.
Okay, we're still talking about when he starts talking about being a math guy. That's still all about the crypto.
Brad was in math, and he very seriously considered pursuing a math PhD, but determined that medicine was a little bit more lucrative, so he decided to keep it as a.
Well, but we were talking about philanthropy. Now you're talking about that he went into medicine because it paid more money?
A side project, but he kept it as a passion, a pursuit. This was really his only hobby for the last 25 years. And so
right.
He's a very advanced mathematician, and he and I were working on post-RSA encryption for a quantum computing world in which standard notions of cryptography and digital security really don't work anymore. This is a world in which digital privacy and the ownership of things that are safeguarded digitally
are we still
no longer
timing?
Secure. A lot of people are working on this. We're some of millions or tens of millions of people interested in this idea, but this was a passion project for him, sort of a holy grail, because he believed a lot in human dignity and liberty and human rights. And so, the last time I saw him was on May 17th. He disappeared on Sunday, the 21st of May. And we had a 3-hour dinner on Wednesday, the 17th. And about 2 hours of that was math,
Okay.
discussing this
But he also gave you some very nice gifts.
concept. The other hour was kind of catching up, talking about future projects. He was a happy guy, cheerful guy. This is a guy who's
All right, where'd we go with the timing? How long? Jill? We're waiting on Jill. Jill was our official timer. $3.5. Charlie Faith. Good gracious. Wow. Strange, right? Yeah. See, Aquarian baby, you think just like me. That is actually in my notes. I said at one point in my notes, I thought, they have kidnapped your brother. Now they have killed your brother. And you don't think that any of this is a big deal. I thought, gosh, you should be terrified. I would be terrified. 3 minutes, 15 seconds of solid crypto commercial. Thank you. It's just amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. But I would be terrified if I was doing crypto stuff, my business partner had been kidnapped and then he, is dead, found in the gunshot wound in the water. I would be in hiding. Absolutely in hiding. No, you're fine, Jill. But he said he keeps sort of dismissing, these different avenues of inquiry.
a very confident person, projected a lot of confidence and power, but he was also a very soft-spoken guy. He saw the best in people. He would de-escalate conflict wherever he found it. He was an ambassador. He was patient. Anyway, so this is a very good-natured individual. People
Right.
learning that he has been attacked and killed can make no sense of who on earth he could have angered or offended enough to even want to punch him, let alone go this far. So that's a bit of a picture of the man.
Right.
Now,
Of course,
I want to point
a
something out
good-natured,
here.
Intelligent man.
We didn't hear anything about his children, his wives. We didn't hear it. It was just about the crypto, how special they are, with the building this network. And then he's a dedicated physician, healer. It really kind of took me back a little bit, made me a little uncomfortable.
And
Family
man, obviously.
Loved his children.
Loved his kids dearly. He was about to get married again. I know that he recently was engaged about 3 days before he went missing as well. So
Yes.
he had a lot of things to look forward to, a lot of things to be excited about, and he, a lot of things to look forward to as far as in the future and everything. But you said that the last time you saw him was on the 17th, or maybe the day before he proposed to his now fiance. And you said you guys talked about math and etc. But was there anything that he spoke about? Anything else that any concerns, any problems that he was going through? Did he mention anything during that time?
He was cheerful, optimistic, humorous.
It is recited like a shopping list. If you agree that this sounds like a shopping list, cheerful, optimistic, excited, put a 1. If you disagree and you feel very relaxed hearing this conversation that you're baffled by my cognitive dissonance, put a 2. Okay, so it's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's hard to put your finger on, but let me speak, okay? There are certain people who okay, so it's possible, let me put it this way. It's possible that we may be reacting to he is not providing the neurotypical reaction or response that we would expect to get from a brother business partner who is grieving and in mourning. He seems a bit detached. He's quite, well, I can't even say his affect is flat, because he does have some change in affect congruent to the joke of the moment, It's just sort of this manner of loftiness, I guess. It doesn't, the presentation is quite appropriate to a boardroom, right? If you're in a boardroom, you're addressing the board of governors, this is a proper presentation. It just feels a little too controlled, but that's okay, because that could be a personality thing. It could be that he is a business guy and he's used to, addressing people in this very sterile and austere manner. But we'll keep going. We'll keep listening for substance. But yeah, I agree with you that the manner is a little uncomfortable.
I remarked to him that he seemed to be the happiest that I'd ever seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
And I told him I was really glad of that. And
so he's the happiest he'd ever seen him in a long time. Doesn't that give you the impression that Dr. Forsyth was not happy? But that's not the description that we got. We got the description that he was doing super, that he's great, that he's dedicated, and he's loves math, and he loves working, and now he's saying that's the happiest I'd seen him in a very long time. What?
he did say, this is not a man who was given to a lot of excessive expressions of emotion or tenderness, but he told me
He said he was a loving, dedicated, conscientious, tender doctor. He used that word tender to describe the way he treated his patients. Now he's saying he's not.
that he loved me and that I was the best brother
It looks better. How's it look?
he could imagine ever having. And that was a very special moment. That was unusual. Not that he wasn't a compassionate guy or a tender guy, but he wasn't cheesy. So
Okay. Yeah.
this was a special thing. And
So see, you get a change there, and he's laughing. This is very difficult.
he also told me who I could trust if he were not around.
What? There's my first. Oh my God, that's my first. Oh my God moment. He told you who you could trust, and that's when I thought. Well, I had two thoughts. My first thought was, well, what is he doing that he thinks people aren't going to trust him like that? Look, don't put this down to normal business. This is not normal business security and such. That's why you have attorneys and accountants and such. That's their job, is to keep your things safe. They make sure that the company is set up in a way that if something were to happen to you, There are other people. You distribute the responsibilities, and so you get continuity of services if you're working with the public. And so this is something beyond that. This is something different. You're not going to be dealing in millions of dollars over 10 years, and then not have prepared for your company's survival upon your untimely demise. That is not going to happen. If it does, you had really terrible lawyers, That's the reality. So what does he mean? We sat down. He contacted the accountant who I can trust, made sure I would take over the company. That is so far outside, as a business owner, that is so far outside of what you do anyway. You have to make plans for your business documents. If something were to happen to you, your business documents must be dealt with and stored for so many years in a secure location. You have to name people, hey, you're going to be the one that's going to take over all of my files and my sensitive documents. It will be your job to do that. Sometimes it's a storage company, sometimes it's another professional. Just depends on what your attorneys, how they want to, and your licensing board, how they want it managed. So this just seemed odd to me. It's such an odd combination for someone who is so elegant in speech, obviously well educated, and now he says something that's almost like just something from a movie, something that's not like, listening to Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. Oh, we can't tell you where JJ is because it will put you in danger if you know. And Melanie Gibbs like, why is that going to put me in danger? That's crazy. And that's kind of the way I felt in this moment. I thought, what do you mean who you can trust? You guys have been in business for 10 years. You've got all this money floating around and you haven't already worked through this? No. So it's very strange.
But he didn't say that with an air of doom or gloom. He just, in the last 10 years we've been involved in a variety of different things. We've just kind of learned a degree of awareness, security awareness, and
Right.
we are in a mindset just constantly, even in a relaxed state, to be thinking about possibilities, contingencies. We've had conflicts with people, nothing I would consider major or very serious, nothing that really stands out, but we've been robbed, we've thwarted robbery.
You've been investigated by the FBI. Your company was turned in to be investigated because people couldn't get their money out. That's true. That is the truth. So I don't know what he means. It's very strange to me.
These online stuff. We've engaged in cybersecurity conflicts with people who are determined to take us down because they didn't like what we were doing.
Sure.
Is it because they didn't like what you were doing, or is it because they wanted their value back? It's because the exchange wasn't working and they couldn't get to their value. You think they wanted to ruin your company, or do you think they just wanted to try to get back what they had invested? It's very hard for me to understand this.
And I've as a lecturer myself on the subject of cryptocurrency, I have brought a lot of criticism. I've made some, I wouldn't say enemies, I think that's too dramatic, but there are people who certainly don't like me and what I have to say, and I've perhaps engaged people in a way that they thought sort of embarrassed them because I didn't agree with them.
You are to mean he is the younger brother. John Forsyth was the older brother.
And I made points that countered what they were saying. Anyway,
so you made points in business that countered what they were saying, and that is something that happens every single day at work. Every single day, people counter one another in search of the best solution. but he says that people are angry with him and want to take him down because he countered something they said and made them look bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the last I saw him, last anybody saw him, he was very cheerful, very optimistic.
Okay. Because, of course, I know that, well, we are going to talk about some other stuff here in just a minute, but I do want to get to a little bit of this. And I know some people are wondering, 8 kids, etc. So he had 8 kids, all from his now ex-wife, or were they all from his ex-wife, or?
He had 7 kids from his ex-wife and 1 from a girlfriend.
Oh, a previous girlfriend. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
he didn't really like saying that. I don't blame him. It is uncomfortable.
and it's not the same. This is not the fiance that he was about to marry, that he got engaged
Correct.
with, right? Okay. So that's
Correct.
a brand new, fresh relationship. No kids with that fiance. Okay.
But she has 2 or 3 kids. I think it was 3.
Because I know a lot of people are wondering,
and she's very
if
beautiful.
there's maybe some sort of connection
She's a very
with that,
beautiful woman.
maybe a disgruntled ex-boyfriend or anything of that sort. Because let's talk about this.
Well, there have been some things said. His divorce was finalized May 11th, and
Right.
This is public record. The decree says that he owes $18,999 per month to his ex-wife in child support and alimony. A lot of people have said, well, that's why he disappeared. Before his body was found, they said, well, he just ran away to have a new life because that's too much. But that was not too much for him. This is a very wealthy man. He didn't even contest this. He was very cooperative with this request, and he was
Right,
fine with
Jill?
it. It was not a concern for him to meet that obligation. And
Gotcha.
in fact, for him, he was grateful that his kids would be well taken care of. He would insist on that.
Okay. So well-to-do guy, of course, and of course that makes total sense. So obviously him running off like this is totally out of the norm for him. He would never do that. He would stand down and stand by, take care of his kids like a real adult should. Now, when it comes to him working in Cassville, at this Mercy Hospital. Now, I understand that, his car was found in the Ozarks, abandoned, unlocked. Okay. Now, can we talk about that a little bit? I mean, is he familiar with was he familiar with the area? So on and so forth.
I wanted to try to zoom in a little bit to watch his facial reaction. I got the feeling that he was reading, that somebody was giving him notes.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so he knows that area. He worked at the Cassville Mercy Hospital for 15 years. He knows that area intimately. The place where he left his car, you can see from the photo, is a pretty odd place to leave a car. That's kind of a public refuse area. And he left it hidden behind, partially obscured by a gate, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The security camera of that area records him arriving at 7:12 a.m. and then being met by a white SUV 3 minutes later. The white SUV departs about 3 minutes after that, and then a person matching his description, but fairly blurry because it's taken at a distance. It appears to be him getting out of his car, walking around a bit, and then leaving.
Interesting. Do we know anything about that white SUV? The owner of it? Were they able to get the... Go ahead.
Well, I do not know. Investigators and detectives may have more information, but they are pursuing leads in the way that they do, and they don't necessarily want to pre-release information that could either improperly vilify an honest member of the public or to tip off a bad actor.
And I agree with him on this vilifying, just a general citizen. And there's a lot of people that could be implicated in this thing. That's one of the reasons why it's such a mysterious situation, right? But at the same time, you don't want to run around and point fingers and whatnot. I think you do have to acknowledge the things that are really outliers, like the things that are dramatically off. I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of going, this is very uncomfortable. Where is this going? Um, so I get what he means, but I would be willing to bet that these cops, both Arkansas, Missouri, as well as FBI, um, they're looking at everyone this man had contact with.
before this person can be arrested. So yeah, I personally, I don't know anything about the white SUV. Its description is rather vague. Apparently the image quality is low, but they may have other images of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know much about it.
Okay. And then you say that he walked around, like he kind of walked around the car, I guess, and he wasn't forced into the car. He willfully walked into that white SUV. Is that
Well,
what
here
they
we are
saw?
with, we must make an assumption that the person matching his clothing description is the person.
Okay, this was one of those points that I thought this was very curious. So Pascal is just trying to clarify, did he get in the white SUV or did he not? I mean, that's a pretty simple question. And I found this answer to be quite, it's kind of leading. It's like he grows frustrated with Pascal. Like maybe he's wanting Pascal to think about it along these lines. Like he's trying to feed information to Pascal that he's frustrated that Pascal didn't arrive at this idea on his own. Does that make sense? Or do you understand what I mean? That he is picking his words very carefully, and it's his reaction is almost this this sort of like, really again? He kind of gets away from him for a second, and then his answer is to sort of say, Pascal, it was a ruse. Just like Chris Watts said that it was a ruse. Remember? It was a ruse that it looked like a transaction had been made and it was recorded by a potato. He means that the camera quality was so poor. And then he says, it makes you wonder, did someone know that they were being recorded, that it was done for the benefit of the camera? Well, my God, that didn't even occur to me until he said it. So is he trying to lead everybody to think about it in nefarious terms? I'm going to tell you, when I first heard their whole story, I thought it was a hookup. He was on Tinder. He said, hey, babe, meet me back over at the aquatic center behind the gate and we'll have a little hubba before I go see my fiance. That's what went through my mind. And then he comes up with Pascal and he says, it was a ruse. Somebody wearing my brother's clothes gets out and walks around because they know the camera is there and it's going to be filming. It's so outside of what is normal, what's expected, that it is very uncomfortable.
We must make an assumption that the person matching his clothing description is the.
He willfully.
Okay, watch his reaction.
He wasn't forced into
watch
the car.
His reaction.
Watch. He willfully walked into that white SUV. Is that
well?
What
here
they
we are
saw?
with. We must make an assumption that the person matching his clothing description is the person who got out of his car. It seems a little bit far-fetched that this is just an elaborate ruse for a terrible camera.
Sorry about the dang commercials at the wrong time.
To me, honestly, this scene has the appearance of a transaction that didn't know it was being filmed by a potato.
Yeah.
Terrible quality camera.
Yeah, just terrible. Yeah. Okay.
I feel so bad for
It could
Pascal.
be anybody. getting out of that car wearing his clothes to make it seem like he's willfully getting into this SUV and driving off.
And see, now Pascal says it. I think Pascal was just like me. I don't think it ever occurred to him that wasn't John Forsyth out walking around until his brother said that. What do we need to take a vote? What do y'all think about that idea? If you want to be on camera, meet at McDonald's. There you go, Kathy. I was wondering why an uber rich would come to YouTube crime community. Less than hybrid Pisces, less than 24 hours after learning that his brother, his decades-long business partner, has been killed. A transaction that didn't know it was being filmed by a potato. He is planting seeds. He is a farmer. There you go.
Just to
And the view is partially obscured. Yeah, I don't know to what end, but then again, there's probably a lot of information I'm not privy to. So, I'm just in the dark here trying to make sense of.
And he does say over and over again how he doesn't know anything. I'm in the dark. I'm just like y'all.
Just limited information, but so there's that, and there's the fact that he left his wallet with.
Okay, here we go. Here's my first big one. This is the first big one. Listen to everything that was left. So sorry about that. I didn't get it muted before I started coughing. I'm sorry. Listen to the list of items left by a doctor, an intelligent guy, who is also a crypto miner, and listen to what he left in his unlocked car. Just listen. And just ask yourself, sure, I leave that in my car every day. Nothing strange going on here. So listen to this list. He left his wallet with all of his credit cards.
His driver's license with his credit cards in the car. He left his passport. He left his checkbook, his work briefcase with sensitive information. He left his car keys. He left his RV keys in there. And by the way, his RV was also found unlocked. And there they found his cell phones. And he was never without his cell phones because, first of all, he's an ER doc. You can't be without your cell phones.
Okay, people. Why would this doctor, he works all night, he works 12 hours, he leaves at 7, he's in that parking lot by 7:12. He is texting his girlfriend, I'm going to be there in a little while, right? And then he puts in this car, listen, his wallet. Why isn't his wallet in his damn pants? His wallet that had all his credit cards, his driver's license, everything. His passport? Computers? Cell phones? Do you carry all that with you in your car? I sometimes carry a computer with me to one of my offices. I cannot imagine ever even letting it out of my sight. If I have to go into Walgreens, I'm carrying that computer in my purse with me. I don't leave it in my car under any circumstances. None. Passport? Why is the doctor walking around with a passport? Why? This guy was in cryptocurrencies. The whole thing he was trying to develop this. I think it was fashioned after the OneCoin model. It was exactly what Jerry So here's what I think. I think Mr. John Forsyth was on the run. I think he was about to make his getaway. That's what I think. I think he was getting ready to check out. And I don't think that was him that drove his car and parked it there. Somewhere there was somebody got him. But he was on his way out. He was leaving, I think.
It's a matter of life and death. It's not about checking Twitter. It's about you need to be ready to stop what you're doing at a moment's notice and save a life.
Right.
So him without his cell phones is just nuts. And and also his laptop. He despised excess paperwork. He digitized everything. Everything was on his laptop. Securitized, of course, but that being left behind, that not being on his person was extremely strange, combined of course with missing his ER shifts, which is bizarre beyond comprehension.
Right.
Understand that ER docs don't miss their shifts at all.
And this is strange. Listen,
the rest of us can call in sick or whatever, or I mean, you got a broken leg and it's hanging by a thread. Yeah, don't go into work. Not him. He's in there in a wheelchair if he has to.
Yeah. Yeah. So him disappearing in this way doesn't make any sense. For sure. But now, can we briefly talk about the what is this that I hear about multiple cell phones that were found? Can we talk about that? What's the story about the multiple cell phones?
Yeah, sure. First of all, he was. So
I will say this. So my hometown is very rural, and there are two different towers, right? There's an AT&T tower and there's a Verizon tower. They're pretty far apart. And so in some areas, you've got great AT&T reception, but no Verizon. In another, you drive 11 miles the other direction, you have great Verizon and absolutely no AT&T. And so there are a lot of people in that area that do have two phones, specifically because it's rural, it's small town, and there's not that many towers around. So this does ring true, absolutely.
Known to have two cell phones. He worked for two different hospitals. He also worked for Aurora Mercy Hospital. And he often was in Springfield and different areas. And one of his cell phones had good reception in rural Missouri environments, and one of them did well in urban environments. So he had the two phones to make sure that he always had reception. No one ever saw him without two cell phones, but when they did a forensic sweep of the RV, they found two more. And when they did a sweep of the sedan, the Infinity sedan that he left behind, they found another one.
Now, if you were going to cash out, if you were heavy into some kind of coin and you were ready to take your millions and book, you would absolutely not want to do it on your devices that you've been working on every day forever and ever. You would go and get you a brand spanking new computer or a brand new phone that had never been used, no chance at all of any kind of software, anything tracking information on it at all. You would go to a different location you had never been before, and then you would start the process of unloading all your money. That is the truth. So is that what was happening? Is that why we had multiple cell phones? Was it to move these coins around? That is a legitimate question.
And
the FBI
there are possible
will know.
unconfirmed sightings of him with another one. So a minimum of 5 phones, possibly 6 phones. We don't understand that.
Gotcha. So a minimum of 5 phones that could.
And listen. People will jump to the assumptions that he's got that many side chicks or whatever. Look, I don't know how you run side.
I didn't think that part didn't make me think of side chicks, but going early in the morning and like that did make me think of side
chicks with an 80 to 100 hour work week.
I don't know how he does that either. I mean, that's
taking care of 8 kids and
right.
in his spare time, only caring about math. This was
Yeah.
a
I think it's become fairly clear. He cared about more things than just math. I think that's a mathematical certainty. I did want to say, give y'all a yardstick here. The way the schedule that he was working, if he worked 4 of those 12-hour shifts, that would have given him a 48-hour week. If he had worked 5, it would have been 60. If he had worked 7 days a week, doing 12 hours and 12 hours, that would have been 84 hours for that week. So, why is a uber wealthy crypto king medical doctor specialist who's well into his career, not a resident, not a new doctor, but well into his career, why is this man killing himself to make money? Why is he doing it? Perhaps he wasn't as wealthy as he had been. Perhaps, Bitcoin took a tremendous, hell, it wasn't just Bitcoin, it was Ethereum, it was all of it, everything. The crypto market, the US government got into the game, and 3 or 6 months later, everybody's crypto cratered, right? I think that was February, maybe March. So is that what happened? Maybe he was rolling in the dough and he was trying now to recoup some of his losses by working all these extra shifts. Again, these are just avenues of inquiry. I have no special information. I don't know. I'm just thinking, if I were a detective, where would I start? And these are some of the things that I would want to follow up on.
Conscientious philanthropic math nerd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You just sound like a very busy man in general, especially, like you said, entrepreneur, ER doctor, and having 8 kids and about to get married as well. That's a lot on somebody's plate.
They didn't know that he was engaged.
It is strange to see the 5 phones, but they could be phones that he, like old generations of other phones that he's had in the past that just he has randomly, maybe. The possibilities are endless with this situation for sure. But we do need to get into the conversation of, now there is information that has been leaked or been put out here in a lot of articles in the media as well, talking about how he was kidnapped before, or he was kidnapped at one point.
What happened?
Back in February of 2020.
Okay. Listen very careful to the verbiage. Listen very closely to the words that are said. The way, I don't know what in the world I did. Okay. I clicked something and there we go. All right, here we go. I think, are we gonna go? What happened?
22, zip ties, he was driven to a bridge and all that. I would love to hear more information about this. What is that story all about? Because the fact that he was kidnapped before could give us a different narrative on why he was found the way he was found. Do you mind explaining a little bit for us?
Looks like it's a note. Looks like he's reading a note.
I must say that the information is rather spare, and also we do not know that it is linked to the more recent events, but from our armchair view of things, it sure does look linked. It's very tempting, at least. But anyway, in February of 2022, he arrived at the residence of one of our mutual acquaintances. He was freezing cold. He was in pain from how cold he was. He was zip tied at the wrists. and obviously very stressed. This mutual friend of ours, who is anonymous for security reasons, uh, cut his zip tie and warmed him up in a.
Chewy is America's #1 pet pharmacy. We contact your vet, get your prescription approved, and deliver it to your door. Here's to healthier playdates. Pets aren't
Hot shower and heard a very bare account of what transpired, that he was put into a car, taken on a ride against his will, brought to a bridge, threatened, that he negotiated something, that he settled the matter for the time being and was released.
And
He said
Irina
that any more
was
information could put people in
arrested
danger.
in March.
Our mutual acquaintance accepted this as reasonable, and also accepted his assurances that it was no longer an issue because he dealt with it. And so that's where the matter stayed until it was reported on the night of his going missing, because it suddenly became a very interesting story. And this was not initially reported because we were concerned about the sensitivity of this information, the possibility that, according to the doctor's word, this could put people in danger, and also that it could be tangible enough for the investigation that it can make a difference in saving his life or finding him. At this point, again, this information is it's secondhand.
It's nonsense.
Because I'm not an eyewitness to it, and we do not know that it is linked. It's just a really low-hanging fruit, juicy piece of data.
Yeah.
I don't find it to be juicy. I find it to be simply not believable.
Or that they settled it. You're saying like he worked out a deal or something, and
See, Pascal doesn't believe it.
After February of 2022, we don't hear, or you guys didn't hear anything about that. I'm assuming afterwards. I'm assuming did he receive any more threats? Was he getting phone calls? Was he getting haunted by by these assailants, by these nappers? Later
It's quite
or did
possible.
he work out a deal?
It's quite possible. Over the course of the last year, and indeed prior to that event, he expressed vague sentiments of having danger in his life that he couldn't talk about.
Oh my
he
God.
made comments to the effect of, "If I were not around," etc. Continuity of his projects, kind of comments.
Gosh.
Prior to going missing on Sunday the 21st, the Friday before, he made arrangements with his accountant he clarified with his accountant that I should be able to act in his place if he were not available.
You mean like
why?
What, like a power of attorney? What exactly?
Yeah, something like that.
No.
Wow.
No.
When did that happen?
No.
When was that filing that happened? Because that's interesting.
It is interesting, Pascal. Look at Pascal's face. I'm totally on board, Pascal. I'm with you. I got the same look on my face right now. And I've listened to this thing, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. Here in Texas, we say that dog don't hunt. You know what I mean? That's the kind of dog that just lays under a little red wagon and just, every now and then will move his tail to make the flies leave him alone. That is not true. That is in no adult reality is this true. You're not in business for 10 years with someone and you have not prepared for continuity of services. That is, especially, let me tell you, the doctors, we are the keepers of medical records, correct? Those are federally protected documents. We have very specific guidance for how we are to not only store them for safety and safekeeping, but in an organized manner so they are accessible should you need them. We have a very specific length of time we must store them. And then we have very specific guidance from our state boards that direct us to services companies that are there to keep our business records and the HIPAA protected records safe should we become incapacitated. They step right in, they take over. Something happens to me, let's say I get in a car accident or whatever, can't do anything. They come right in, they know exactly what to take and know where to take it, what to do with it. John Forsyth knows this, but just from being a doctor, he understands that legally he has to make contingencies. So I don't know what this means, that they did this on the 17th? What? This doesn't make sense. I don't want to be a harpy, but it's very, very curious. This is a curious interview.
That's Friday before the disappearance.
Friday before his disappearance.
2 days.
So
and does he look like he's getting uncomfortable?
He basically signed everything, I guess, control over his financials, I'm assuming?
No, not at all. Only
okay. So what was it?
Only his finances concerning the joint venture we had together. His personal finances are, they might as well be on Mars as far as my reach is concerned. And, as far as my ability to ascertain their nature is concerned, I do not know what his wealth profile is like. I don't even know what his banks are. I don't know much at all.
That makes sense. Understandable.
So just concerning the stuff that we did together, he made sure that his accountant would not have any issues with me going in there and acting on his behalf, because he set all that up initially, and I did not have a relationship with the accountant prior. So
interesting.
So
how can you be
maybe,
a business
prescient
owner and not know your
possibly.
accountant?
I don't know, but again, he was cheerful, optimistic,
right,
during this period of time.
Of course, and but you know,
look at his
it
face.
does make me wonder about that lunch or that meal that you shared with him on the 17th. Now,
Diane.
Bit.
Yeah.
Well, and there were others that week. Who remarked that he was unusually.
Now, this is to give the suggestion of
his work
suicide.
partners. He told them how much he appreciated them. My mother, he told her he loved her and that she was the greatest
He's
mother
reading that
anyone
note
could have.
again.
And he expressed love to her occasionally, but he did
Scott.
expressly share his love for her in the days leading up to his disappearance, and gave her a very generous gift, and me as well. And he was a generous guy, but this felt special.
What was the generous gift?
To my mother, jewelry, and to myself, I guess I'd rather not say, but something very, very nice.
Okay.
Someone told him not to tell.
Of course, have to ask. But that is, I mean, it sounds like he's a very, sounds like he's a very giving individual, sentimental guy. But yeah, that's, it's heartbreaking to hear this information. So obviously the news came out yesterday. Can you tell me, can you tell us a little bit about where you were when you received this information, and all that?
I was at my parents' house with family and extended family, and my brother's fiance, and we were having dinner together and talking about his probable.
But they didn't know she was
flight
the
from
fiance.
danger and some of the possibilities of where he might have gone, and then the state police sent a representative to us unannounced. He knocked on the door. He asked for my father, asked him to have a seat.
Do you love getting high, but smoking hurts your lungs? I've got you covered. You need to try.
At this point, you could feel the oxygen leaving the room. He told my father that my brother had been found deceased in Northwest Arkansas, that he didn't have any more details, that he provided a phone number for us to follow up with. We were only given the detail that he had been found in a lake. That was an evening of explosive anguish and confusion and fear and surprise. And none of us slept much last night. And then this morning, the county in which he was found issued a press release that said that he was found in the water with an apparent gunshot wound. That was the phrase, an apparent gunshot wound. The detectives came by our place today to explain. They said that they use that phrase because it's a formality until an autopsy is performed, and that autopsy is still forthcoming. And so they use phrases like apparent because policemen, investigators, they're not doctors, and so they don't get the final word. But they've seen a lot of crime scenes, and so they have a fair amount of confidence in that assessment.
Yeah.
But it's not official.
Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't been officially confirmed by a medical examiner or any type of autopsy reports or anything like that yet. But and of course, I'm sure that information will come out very, very soon once the ME gets a look at your brother. But was he at all an outdoorsy person? Was he really outdoorsy? Would he put himself near a body of water? Would this information, him being found in this lake, be that big of a shock to you or not?
No, he did not belong in this lake. He had no connections with Northwest Arkansas.
Okay,
He was
see,
not outdoorsy.
that seemed odd to me.
The extent to which he might be called outdoorsy might include
I don't know why my computer stopped
beaches
responding.
and sandals and shorts, but not.
Okay, I don't know why he says, oh, he has no connection to Southwest Arkansas or Northwest Arkansas. The reality is the location that he was found was only 20 miles away. It was just 20 miles. The guy had been living there for decades. So why would you, that was strange to me. He wasn't far. And now you're getting into the whole Kylie, the lake. I'm going to do a video on that, but the lake, the location where he was found, looks exactly like somebody was watching all of Kylie Rodney's stuff. It's crazy.
Lakes and hiking and things like that. That was not his thing at all.
Gotcha.
He, in fact, really wasn't very.
Yeah, frick-a-frack.
like
they went
vacation
to
very
a
much. He thought it
remote
was,
area, right?
Tedious, and it distracted from his real interest in mathematics.
He liked to work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he liked working. That makes sense.
Him in a lake is nonsense.
Yeah. No, I get that.
There's a lot of nonsense going around.
Because of course where he was found in that area and all that does make you wonder. I mean, from being 20 miles away from where he was last seen alive seems a bit off kilter. Or, allegedly where he was allegedly last seen alive was 20 miles away from Beaver Lake.
And went past Table Rock Lake, which is a big
that distance
sporting
seems a bit
area.
odd unless there's another hospital down that area or something that he was working for or working at. But it seems, from what we understand, seems a bit off kilter that he would be down there, right?
Oh yeah.
This is a very, very, very. It's a very odd series of events, but very tragic at the same time. And of course, from what we understand, how
tragic, very sad story.
From what you said,
lot
which
of
you said
kids without
beautifully
their
about
dad.
John, is that he was just a good guy that really loved his job, loved his work, loved math. You guys were
I will tell you
working on things.
the other thing
as far as business
that bothered me.
to
Let me put
do
a stop
something
here. Okay. And I think this is probably where I'm going to end this tonight. Pascal did a really great job with this interview. I've watched it probably 5, 6, 7 times. I'm a bit uncomfortable with all of the stereotypes, that the reliance on, oh, he's just a math nerd, so he couldn't be into anything bad. He's just a guy who likes to just work and just do math, and so it's not likely that he would be doing any kind of highly, dangerous, activities, right? I don't know why it bothers me a bit. I'm just kind of giving my reaction. It was lake patrol now due to tourism at summer. Beaver Lake has more of the kayaking. And the question, Frickafrack, is, he wasn't found by the boat ramp. He was found across from the boat ramp. Like I said, it's exactly like Kylie Rodney. How would they have gotten to that area? Or do the local people think that maybe he did go in there at the boat ramp and his body floated? It's a bit chilling to see the location, because it is exactly what you would see with the Kylie Rodney thing. Exactly. Cinnamon says, not in my experience. Those nerds are freaky. He liked sex a lot. Have they checked the local strip joint? No, I don't think like that. This guy was working, according to his brother, he was working 6-7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. I don't think if it is some sort of a sex addiction or something, it would have been just like a Tinder kind of hookup. I don't think so. I think this is crypto. I think this is about money. I think this is about good old fashioned. Dr. Forsyth had the money and somebody wanted the money. That's what I think. I don't think so, Sketty Nona. I think there's an apparent rift there. Hybrid says money. He was dipping into places quick for a love. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Yeah, no, I think it was. So, Frickafrack, you're from the area. What do you know of the one baby, the girlfriend? Was that like a year or 2 years ago? Do you know how old the baby is? The 8th child? Exactly, Cinnamon. It seemed very strange. Crypto is easy to steal and there's no trail. And if you're targeting people in Africa, third world country, then there's certainly nobody to come find you. Or he had someone else's dollars and they wanted them back. Well, that's the crypto. That's the deal, right? Now, don't get me wrong. When you're talking about Ethereum or Bitcoin, something like that, that's the U.S. government has bought into Bitcoin now. That's a different platform. That's a different vehicle, and everyone has access to everything. You can see it at any minute. Any large chunks of money, any small chunks of value that is getting moved around. That's the whole decentralized part of it. But that's not what these smaller coins are doing. They're doing like well, I don't want to go into any more on the Bitcoin tonight because this has already turned into a 2-hour video and I thought it was going to be about 45 minutes. All right, they divorced in 2019. I bet the baby broke them up. They remarried and then divorced again in 2023. Golly. Yeah, so Litecoin was actually what John Forsyth made. That's where he made his millions. He got into it while he was still in college. And he got in at the ground floor. So that's where he became a millionaire. All this other stuff that we're seeing now, no. That wasn't his millionaire. He just got lucky. He bought the right lottery ticket at the right time. And it was Litecoin that was his favorite. All right. Okay, so I think I want to end this here tonight because we've been going a long time. There are many much more to come. This is the breadth and the depth of these connections is just shocking. It's shocking. And we're back in Rexburg. We're back in Rexburg. It's crazy. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know if you learned, if you got any additional, the story's been going on now since the 21st, the 21st of May. So, but I, the connections I'm going to be building up on the OneCoin and I'm going to parallel that. We're going to compare and contrast it to their Bitcoin offering. It looks similar, I'm not slandering their Bitcoin, not their Bitcoin, their crypto. I'm not slandering it. OneCoin is still in operation today. It's still working. It's just not your typical. It's not exactly what it looks to be. It's really more of an MLM kind of thing. Thank you, Aquarium Baby. I appreciate you being here. And it was good to meet you, Fricka Frack. It is very weird, Sketty Nona. You just would not believe the notebook. My jaw has just been, I've been like, what? So it's pretty crazy. And when you get into the feds and Ruja, you look at Ruja's influence on OneCoin, and then you see exactly the same thing reflected in their crypto, and you can't say, oh, they know Ruja and she's in on it. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think it's more of that they watched Ruja and they're kind of modeling after her. I wonder. I'm just guessing at this point, just like everybody else. All right. So again, I have to say, I have no special knowledge. I don't know any of these actors or any of these players. The information I'm talking about is completely restricted to what has been reported in the newspapers, on Reddit boards, through the various interviews that Richard Forsyth has done. In the beginning, the doctor went missing. They were trying to get people to help look for him, and now, he's died. I don't know. I mean, what else is there to do at this point? It's up to the law enforcement, and they have Arkansas law enforcement, state police. They have Missouri State Police, and they have the FBI. This is the big one. This is going to be a big story. Mark my words. Need to go back, listen to the last half hour. This has been very interesting. Thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate you being here. I will do the last 30 minutes when I do my next video, which will be tomorrow sometime. But I'll put it up, before I go live, and we'll do the last half of this, and then the additional new information. Okay. All right, everybody. You guys have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry for, the coughing and stuff, but it is getting better. So please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the thumbs up on your way out, just because that helps the algorithm. And then I will be back.